My name's Lewis O'Brien. I've created this 5-minute guide series to property development contracts to help those who want to develop property, be it a small renovation or a large unit development, to avoid common mistakes and do it better. I believe that the ideas we'll offer you here will help you avoid a nasty car crash and help you maximize the profits from your next development. In this video, we're going to explore the mistakes that rookie private lenders often make. In saying this, I should point out that private lending can be a particularly lucrative and profitable way to invest funds, provided it's done correctly. Too often I get phone calls after the event from lenders who've found themselves in a situation where anything up to $1 million has been invested, but their chances of recovering that money are limited or are going to be very difficult and time consuming. So let's look at the mistakes that people can make and the best ways to try and avoid them. As always, these comments are based on the laws of Victoria as at approximately July 2020. The first and perhaps most fundamental mistake that many beginner private lenders make is failing to get past their sense of embarrassment. That embarrassment may be about not knowing what they're doing, not knowing what the right fees, charges, and interest rates are, not knowing what the right deal structures are, not knowing what security should be in place. As a first-time private lender, you need to get past this embarrassment. That means you need to find someone who can show you the ropes and provide you the information you lack. Ideally, the person helping you with this information shouldn't be the borrower. The next hurdle for some lenders is the need to ask the borrower for a great deal of information. Much of this information will be confronting because essentially you want to ask whether they know what they're doing and whether this deal stacks up well. If you're not prepared to ask these questions because you find it too confronting, you either need to find someone who is prepared to ask them on your behalf or withdraw from the loan. The next challenge is to make sure that you're asking for a fair risk-adjusted return. 10% might sound like a great interest rate compared to bank term deposit rates, but if that's half the market rate given the risk you're taking, you're really shortchanging yourself. The next category of mistake made by rookie private lenders is failing to do either a good enough due diligence or any due diligence at all. As one client put it to me, due diligence is the difference between investing and essentially gambling. What amounts to sufficient due diligence will vary in each case, but in almost every case you need to spend some time looking at the property, the ownership of the property, i.e. does the borrower actually own it, the valuation of the property, if there's a first mortgage in place, confirming the details of that first mortgage, getting the first mortgagee's consent, assuming that the property is to be developed or money spent in some way, verifying that the proposed project costs are reasonable, looking at what the selling price of the completed project is going to be, and also looking at whether the borrower has the skills and capacity to actually undertake and complete the project in an efficient manner. Now, this is only touching on some of the elements of a due diligence, but it is important to do a thorough due diligence. Certainly any professional private lender is going to do all of this and then some. Assuming your due diligence checks out, the next step is to make sure that you have the right paperwork in place. In a scene from the movie The Castle, the comedic lawyer Dennis Denuto argues that it's about the vibe of the thing. Sadly, it's not. It's about making sure that your documentation is exactly right. Near enough is not good enough. What you might have intended or what people thought they were going to do isn't relevant in a court of law. Some people choose to download documents from the internet or rely on the document that the borrower claims they always use. You have no idea whether these documents have been drafted correctly, whether they've been drafted in the state of Victoria or some other jurisdiction, or whether they're suitable for the transaction you have in mind or adequately protect your interests. I regard this as an expensive mistake. Professional private lenders will always insist that a tailored document is prepared, bearing in mind that in almost all cases, the legal fees associated with preparing the right documentation are paid by the borrower anyway. Having the right security is fundamental to having a good and enforceable private loan. Essentially, security tells you what you can seize and sell when the loan goes wrong. To make sure that you minimize the risk of your private loan, you need to make sure that you have the best possible security or at least security that is reflective of the interest rate that you're receiving and the risk that you're taking. I've set out in this slide a range of security alternatives that range from the very best, which is a registered first mortgage, through second mortgages, unregistered mortgages. And as we go down this list, the strength of the security is becoming less. Caveats, then we get into personal property security registrations, personal guarantees, and in some cases, nothing at all. Security can be quite a complex legal issue. If you're not comfortable with the security that you've been offered and that you know what it is, I certainly encourage you to get expert legal advice to make sure that you're getting the right security for your transaction. The next mistake that many private lenders make is to just assume they can advance the funds and then go and do something else until it's time for the loan to be repaid. Private loans are not, in my opinion, a passive asset. That means that you need to continue to supervise your investment, monitor it, and if it starts to go off the rails, take action in a proactive fashion. There is certainly some truth to the old cliche that the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If you're first in line and first to take action in relation to a private loan in default, your chances of a more successful outcome are significantly increased. In this short video, I've tried to cover some common errors that beginner private lenders make. However, you shouldn't regard this video as in any sense comprehensive or exhaustive, and certainly doesn't take the place of specific legal advice. If you are considering or interested in funding a private loan, then I encourage you to seek advice from Lewis O'Brien and Associates. We've been helping private lenders for more than 20 years, both establish loans, manage loans, and also, where necessary, enforce their security and recover their loans. You may wish to submit your proposed loan document to us for a fixed price review, or alternatively, if you'd like a much more detailed overview of private lending, we can offer you the Ultimate Private Lending Guide. This encapsulates 20 years of experience that I've had as a lender, a solicitor to lenders, and also as a member of a credit committee approving private loans. This volume includes case studies, checklists, sample documents, and access to exclusive videos to try and make sure that your private loans are as successful as they can be. If you're interested, the product is available for purchase from our website at lewisobrien.com.au. That brings us to the end of this video. If you've enjoyed this video or learnt something from it, please share the video with a friend. Or like the video by pressing the appropriate red button, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Or you could subscribe to the newsletter available at our website, lewisobrien.com.au. Thank you for your time.